over unemployment in Spain in particular, but Italy's seeing things improve a little bit, as is Spain, as is Greece, and they are becoming a little bit more competitive. Now, the ECB is playing a very, very careful game. The reason why the ECB can't just suddenly pull, the trigger and do whatever it wants, as Mario Draghi in his own words, is because it doesn't want to stop the peripheral nations from making the reforms that are required. If it acts as the lender of last resort, unnecessarily when it's not really required, then it's sort of like, what do you do as a nation that needs to reform? You think, well, it doesn't really matter. We won't do these reforms because the central bank will step in, or Germany will bail us out. You have to be very, very careful and insist that, we're not going to be the backstop until things really do get very bad. And they've been perfectly clear in saying that it's not deflation, it's disinflation, it's low inflation. Low inflation is going to be here to stay. If low inflation remains for longer than we expect, then we'll look at quantitative easing. What quantitative easing? We don't know yet. So they will do something if and when it's required. A cut in interest rates in June, I'd almost go as far as to say that I don't think they will cut interest rates actually any further, because take the euro to one side. I just think that things are stabilising in the Eurozone. Okay. So I'm not sure that necessarily a cut in interest rates is warranted yet.
Okay. Going back, talking about the periphery, but to put it into context, we're coming out of a very, very harsh financial crisis. There is a recovery. But for example, in the case of the UK, the central bank, the Bank of England, needs to be extremely careful, methodical, very, very nuanced in everything that it does as far as guiding forward guidance, guiding interest rates, guiding market participants, because of the knock-on effect it can have on the UK consumer through channels like mortgages, etc. But for example, in Spain, the Eurozone periphery, indeed, the ECB has to be careful not to let people see it constantly as a backstop, call it perhaps the ECB call, that central bank will always bail us out. But in some periphery countries, you have, for example, Spain, you have the core rate of inflation, not the headline, which is very close to the threshold. The last number for February was 0.1% year on year. So it's about to go negative. If that only reflects food and energy inflation going down and filtering into the economy to a large extent, that might not be, strangely enough, a completely bad thing. However, negative core rates of inflation for a heavily indebted country, for banks who don't want to see non-performing loans rise, how dangerous can that get?
Well, deflation is a very dangerous condition, and no one wants to see deflation at all, because especially in a country like Spain that has very, very high levels of unemployment. So even those people that are lucky enough to be in work, that deflation will put huge pressure on their